Making AI movies usually falls apart because none of the tools work together. One writes the script, another generates images, another creates videos, and somehow you're expected to keep everything consistent. Storyboard Studio changes that. Before you generate a single clip, it organizes your script, characters, locations, props, voices, and storyboard in one place. By the end of this video, you'll know the complete workflow from idea to animated scene. Let's start by creating a brand new project in Google Flow. Once the workspace opens, don't worry about all the different panels yet. You'll see sections like media, characters, scenes, and a few others, but we're not going to touch those just yet. Everything in this workflow begins inside Tools. Open the Tools panel from the left sidebar. You'll notice Google Flow comes with several built-in tools, and you can even create your own custom ones. Those are worth exploring, but we'll save them for another video. For now, scroll down until you find Storyboard Studio. This is the tool that takes you from a simple story to a complete storyboard, and it's where we'll spend most of our time in this tutorial. When you open it, the first thing you'll be asked to choose is a storyboard style. Think of this as the visual language of your movie. Google Flow gives you several presets, including realistic, 3D animation, claymation, and concept sketch. For this tutorial, I'm choosing 3D animation because it works really well for cinematic storytelling, but feel free to pick the style that matches your own project. Once you've made your choice, click Get Started. Every movie starts with a story, and this is where Storyboard Studio really starts to shine. You have two options here. If you've already written a script, you can simply paste it into the editor. But if you're starting with nothing, Flow can help you generate one from a simple prompt. For this tutorial, let's build everything from scratch. I'm going to ask Flow to create a cinematic story about a young explorer who discovers an ancient floating city hidden above the clouds. It should include multiple scenes, natural dialogue, and enough detail to become a short animated film. As soon as I click Generate, watch what happens. Flow doesn't just write a story. It automatically analyzes the prompt, gives the project a title, breaks the story into individual scenes, and even generates dialogue wherever it's needed. Instead of staring at one long block of text, you now have something that already looks like the foundation of a real movie. Take a minute to read through the script before moving on. If something doesn't fit your vision, this is the best time to change it. You can edit any scene manually or simply ask Flow to rewrite parts of the story. Remember, everything we'll create next, our characters, locations, props, and storyboard, is built from this script. So spending an extra minute here usually saves you a lot of work later. Now that our script is ready, it's time to create the building blocks of the entire movie. Head over to the Assets tab. This is where Storyboard Studio figures out who appears in your story, where the story takes place, and what objects are needed to tell it. You'll notice the assets are organized into three categories: characters, locations, and props. At the moment, all of them are empty. That's completely normal. Instead of creating every character and every location manually, Flow can do most of the heavy lifting for us. Simply click Autofill Characters, Autofill Locations, and Autofill Props. Now, give it a moment to work. Behind the scenes, Flow is reading through the script we created earlier, identifying every important person, place, and object, then generating visual references for each of them. A few moments later, everything starts coming to life. Our main character is now fully designed. The locations from the story have been created. Even small objects that appear throughout the film are generated automatically. These aren't just random images. They're reference assets that Storyboard Studio will keep using throughout the project to maintain consistency. That's one of the biggest advantages of this workflow. Instead of recreating your main character every time you generate a new scene, Flow keeps referring back to these assets, making it much easier to maintain the same appearance throughout your movie. And don't worry if something doesn't look exactly the way you imagined. You're never locked into the first result. You can regenerate a character, edit a location, or completely replace a prop before moving to the next step. Taking a few extra minutes here is worth it, because these assets become the visual foundation for every storyboard frame we'll create next. With all of our assets ready, it's time for my favorite part of the workflow. Open the Storyboard tab. You'll immediately notice something interesting. Flow has already taken the script and organized it into individual scenes. Each scene is there, waiting to be turned into storyboard panels. The only thing missing is the actual visuals. To generate them, simply click Autofill Scene. Now sit back for a moment and let Flow do the work. Instead of creating random images, Storyboard Studio combines your script with the characters, locations, and props we generated earlier to create storyboard panels that match each scene. Within a few moments, your movie starts taking shape. Scene by scene, shot by shot. You can actually see the story you've been imagining. What makes this even better is that Flow doesn't lock you into its first idea. If a camera angle doesn't fit your vision, you can change it. If a scene needs more coverage, you can add extra shots. Or if a panel doesn't quite capture the moment you're looking for, you can simply regenerate it until you're happy with the result. This is also a great time to read through each scene one last time and make sure the visuals match the story you want to tell. Think of this as your pre-production stage. It's much faster to fix a storyboard than it is to regenerate an entire animated scene later. Once you're happy with your storyboard, there's one very important thing you need to do before moving on. Save your project. Click the three-dot menu in the top right corner and select Save Story. This exports your entire storyboard, including your script, assets, and scene structure, as a JSON file. And here's why this matters. If you close Storyboard Studio without saving, you won't be able to reopen the storyboard from your project dashboard. Instead, you'll need to import that JSON file to continue exactly where you left off. It's a small step that only takes a few seconds, but it can save you from rebuilding your entire project. Our storyboard is now complete, but before we animate anything, we need to introduce our cast. Open the Characters panel. Right now, our storyboard knows what each character looks like, but it doesn't know how they should sound. Click Add from Project. Choose the character we created earlier and add them to the character panel. Now it's time to choose a voice. Flow gives you a variety of voices to choose from, so don't just pick the first one you hear. Preview a few different options and think about the personality you're trying to create. Is your character confident, calm, young and energetic, or maybe mysterious? The voice you choose has a huge impact on how your audience connects with the character. Once you've found one that fits, add it to the character. Now, repeat the same process for every important character in your story. By the end of this step, each character has both a visual identity and a voice. And that's important because when we start generating scenes, Flow already knows exactly who is speaking and how they should sound. Head over to All Media and choose the storyboard frame you want to animate first. You can either drag the frame directly into the prompt area or simply click Add to Prompt. Both methods work exactly the same. Now we need to tell Flow what should happen in this scene. The easiest way to do that is to go back to your script, copy the matching scene description along with its dialogue, and paste it into the prompt. Instead of writing a detailed animation prompt from scratch, we're simply reusing the story we've already created. Next, switch to agent mode. I highly recommend using it because the AI understands your scene and automatically improves the prompt before generation. It saves a lot of time, especially when you're working on larger projects. Now here's a small detail that makes a huge difference. Whenever a character appears in the scene, type the @ symbol and select that character from your project. This tells Flow to use the character reference we created earlier instead of generating a completely new person. It's one of the easiest ways to keep your characters looking and sounding consistent across your entire movie. If your scene contains dialogue, make sure the correct character is tagged before each line, so Flow knows exactly who's speaking. Before generating, take one last look at your settings. If your scene has more than 2 characters, consider switching to OmniFlash. It generally handles larger casts much more reliably and does a better job maintaining character consistency throughout the scene. Once everything looks good, click Generate. After a few moments, your storyboard frame transforms into a fully animated scene, complete with character movement, synchronized dialogue, and the cinematic style you selected at the beginning. It's honestly one of the most satisfying moments in the entire workflow. And here's another feature I really like. Once a scene is finished, click Add to place it into your sequence. Then simply move to the next storyboard frame, repeat the same process, and continue building your movie one scene at a time. By the time you've worked through your storyboard, you'll have a complete collection of animated scenes ready for editing. And that's the complete Storyboard Studio workflow. We started with a simple idea, turned it into a script, generated consistent characters, locations, and props, built a complete storyboard, added voices, and finally transformed those storyboard frames into animated scenes. Instead of creating random AI clips and trying to stitch them together afterward, you're planning your entire movie before you generate a single scene. That's what makes Storyboard Studio such a powerful filmmaking tool. If you found this tutorial helpful, consider subscribing, because we'll be covering more Google Flow features, practical AI filmmaking techniques, and real production workflows that can help you create better videos faster. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.